Jordan, here we are back up for this matchup here in the second half of the show.
Singles action on tap. Tommy Wilson head-to-head with CJ TINO here.
You know, I'm really looking forward to calling the second half of this show. I really have enjoyed being out here with you. I think you're...
Sorry I'm late, ladies and gentlemen, but look at here, Tommy Wilson.
Oh,
Castle.
Barry Sweeney, I have never... Remy, get out of here, dude. What are you doing?
Screw this. I'm done with you guys.
Remy, are you from Boston? Get out of here! Get out of here! Go Sox! Barry Sweeney, such an immense pleasure. Years, a literal decade in the making, my friend. I could not be happier to be sitting beside you right now.
It is good to be seen, and it's good to see you, Jordan Castle. And it is good to be here at Skyfire Pro Lucha Libre. Our match right after intermission, coming out hot, Tommy Wilson and CJ TINO. I couldn't be more excited.
Barry, I understand this one is a little personal, my friend.
Absolutely. To get into the lore, to get into the backstory, to get into why we are here. Once upon a time, Mike Camden had a huge hand in training this man. Mr. 551, CJ TINO. And at the inaugural Skyfire Pro Lucha Libre show, Mike Camden was retired by CJ TINO. New England boys represent, that's right.
For those unaware, CJ TINO, Barry Sweeney, myself, all originally Bostonians, here in Southern California over a decade after our paths first crossed. Special moment, but Barry, it's not about us. Continue, my friend.
But you gotta pull out the Paul Rudd, who would have thought?
No, not me, not me.
But meanwhile, who is the man who trained Mike Camden, El Numero Uno? It's this man, Tommy Wilson. Tommy Wilson with over 2 decades of experience in the professional wressling ring. And this is a full circle moment for CJ TINO.
And for our commentary team, but you're absolutely right. Tommy Wilson maybe looking for a measure of revenge on behalf of his protege.
Absolutely, but let's hear it from Diana here in the ring.
The following contest is a singles match scheduled for 1 fall. The referee for this contest, Chad Rico. Introducing first the competitor to my right. From San Diego, California, standing at a 6'6" and weighing in at 240 pounds, he is the Thundermaker, Tommy Wilson! Hey, isn't the competitor tonight from Boston, Massachusetts, he is the deadlift king, Mr. 551, CJ TINO!
Now, Barry Sweeney, conventional wisdom would lead you to believe that I may have some bias towards CJ TINO because he is a fellow Bostonian. However, he's a Star Wars prequel fan, so they balance each other out.
It's a bit of a catch-all, you know, and don't get him started on the Matrix movies, but
give me a break.
All the same, CJ TINO, Mr. 551, that's just not a nickname. That is a lifestyle. That's what his deadlift is. And as he has said before, if you are under 551 pounds, it doesn't matter if you're 6'6" and 240, you will get suplexed.
Yeah, Tommy Wilson's a big boy. I don't think he's 5'1" or plus.
Absolutely, but meanwhile, the experience factor of Tommy Wilson, as he already makes a rope break here. Chad Rico, great officiator in his own right. This is the kind of guy who trained, the guy that trained CJ TINO. This is a guy who has so much in his arsenal, 20 years plus worth of a bag here, trying to take it down ground and pound style to the mat.
Yeah, but CJ TINO, no slouch in his own right. Gotta be careful. Chad Rico, referee, calling for the break.
Listen, CJ TINO, an absolutely honest fighter in his own right.
A product
gas in the tank and plenty on the ground and over it.
A product of the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Set aside his wrestling dream for several years. The flame reignited when he moved his life across the country from the Northeast to the West Coast. Years and years later, now a fixture of wrestling in San Diego. You cannot talk about San Diego professional wrestling in the year 2023, soon to be 2024, without talking about CJ TINO.
I could not agree more, Jordan. And on top top of that, too, Tommy Wilson, again, a SoCal fixture. He's been around the block. He helped build the block, for crying out loud. And meanwhile, he's the kind of guy who is going to test your very limits. He's not going to...
Shoulders down!
Look, case in point. I mean, you know, looking for that finish right off the bat, looking to roll up his opponent and exerting all his weight, all his size on CJ TINO.
Head scissors here for CJ TINO. Yeah, Tommy Wilson is not here to put on a show. He's not here to excite the people. He's here to get a victory, and yes, he's here to teach CJ TINO a lesson after the Mike Camden retirement.
And this is going to be the ace in the hole, I think, for Tommy Wilson, the Thunder Maker. That reach, that flexibility, and that size that he has. He can get a rope break from practically the middle of the ring. CJ TINO is going to have to consider that when he looks for his offense. He looks for that ground and pound.
In many ways, a David versus Goliath contest because of the height disparity, but at the same time, CJ TINO is jacked. Every time I see this man, he gets bigger, he gets more cut, an absolute specimen of a human being, and full wrist control of Tommy Wilson rolls through.
Absolutely not an inch of excess on CJ TINO. I mean, he is a chicken and rice guy. I don't think I've seen him eat anything else in his entire life.
I mean, the man has never had Taco Bell, for crying out loud. How do you live in Southern California and never eat Taco Bell?
Whoa! Beautiful takedown by Tommy Wilson, already searching for the head, but look at CJ TINO fighting through.
Yes, some deceptive agility from Tommy Wilson. You look at this guy, you see his height, you see his girth, you think, all right, he's a strong guy, he's a powerful guy, but quickness, can't you see by surprise? It may have caught CJ TINO by surprise.
It's size, it's strength, but it's also technique. He's like Giannis in that ring. For as long as his reach is, for as strong as he is, he's got finesse, and you can't teach finesse. But you can't teach this reaction from the Skyfire Pro Lucha Libre faithful 551.
We saw in our last contest how far a positive reception can go. Antonio Rivers, a rookie, a blue chipper, with an injured ankle, with a clipped wing.
You want to wrestle?
A veteran like Nick Xander. Yes, with his own prowess, but also with his raucous, glorious reception from the Skyfire Pro Lucha Libre.
And George, it's like poetry, as George Lucas said, it rhymes. Antonio Rivers, a protege of CJ TINO.
The frame is so dense, there's so many things going on here, and so many things going on in this ring. A bit of a gator roll here for CJ TINO.
Absolutely, but using that mass, using that strength to just block, just stuff every opportunity Tommy Wilson has attempted.
And I do want to point out, CJ TINO, he might be a shorter competitor. He's not a small man, as we mentioned, jacked to the gills. Tommy Wilson makes CJ TINO look like a small man.
Absolutely. But the kind of gravitas that he brings to the ring, Tommy Wilson taking nothing light here. And perhaps a bit of a challenge to the pride of the Thunder Maker.
Wow, CJ TINO saying, Tommy, I'll give you one free. I'm not sure how wise this is, Barry.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw him in a fatal four-way at the last show. Case in point, boots right to the jaw. A vertical suplex to boot.
And CJ TINO in a world of hurt here. Tommy Wilson digging that knee into the neck, trying to cut off the oxygen flow of CJ TINO.
You know, CJ tried to give him a free one, but this ain't jiu-jitsu, pal. This is pro wrestling. This is Skyfire Pro Lucha Libre. And Tommy Wilson wasting no moments.
Going for the throat here. Tommy Wilson is getting angry, he's getting aggressive in a hurry. I really think that confidence from CJ TINO, as you said, trying to give Tommy Wilson a free one, may have cost him here, Barry.
A kick to the lower lumbar, and look at his bearing down the weight on his neck, on his back. There's everything torquing the carotid artery there. But listen to this crowd. I mean, again, that's the sixth man, that's the 12th man, that's the X factor in this match, in this show. Just in general, having this crowd behind you can make all the difference in the world.
Tommy Wilson here, leveled with shots to the gut by TINO off the ropes!
And a flying clothesline.
Tommy Wilson saying that's all she wrote, calling for the end here. Kick out there from CJ TINO. I want to point out that Tommy Wilson not only breaking his body weight over CJ TINO, also digging the knee into the face. Insult to injury. No wasted motion from the veteran Wilson.
High leverage covers are a difference maker in professional wrestling. It's one thing to pin your opponent, but if you don't hook that leg, if you don't get those shoulders down, if you don't cut off the air supply, you may be rolling for a long night. But he's doing that right now, cutting off the air, slashing those tires.
Shot right to the breadbasket of CJ TINO. You gotta wonder, is Tommy Wilson maybe trying to teach CJ TINO a lesson here off that leg drop? Lateral press, only a 2.
And you talked about vengeance perhaps for his fallen, his retired student Mike Camden. I mean, Tommy Wilson here, his whole journey in Skyfire Pro Lucha Libre so far has been, I got plenty left in the tank.
And Tommy Wilson had some pre-match comments, right? Spoke to CJ TINO and made it very clear to not mince words. He doesn't wrestle that often. He's not making the town. He's not competing with the same type of regularity that CJ TINO is. It means every match is that much more important, that much more special for Tommy Wilson.
Absolutely, and making it count just like that neck breaker, well scouted off that up and over maneuver from CJ TINO. Oh!
Boots to the head. CJ TINO here.
On the ropes now, look at the midsection, look at the throat. Just absolutely ragdoll.
When we talk about veteran savvy on full display here, Tommy Wilson has found a target and he has exploited it. That target is the throat of CJ TINO. Deadlift in 551. CJ TINO's not going to be able to deadlift anything if he can't breathe.
If you can't breathe, you can't fight. Simple as that. Chad Rico, our official in the ring tonight, is going to have eyes in the back of his head. Tommy Wilson is making the most out of that 5 count, making the most out of the referee's discretion.
Making the most is CJ TINO, escaping with a little window given to him by Tommy Wilson, perhaps using the, say, height disadvantage, but in this case, a height advantage, sneaking under the frame of Tommy Wilson.
Listen, that was a 4-seam fastball right to the chest here, and now we're getting to the expertise of CJ TINO, looking for a suplex.
And he's thinking perfect plex here, but Tommy Wilson has it scouted.
Look at this, wrenching him into the corner again. Oh, right to the midsection there, crushing those ribs.
You mentioned we see Tommy Wilson zeroing in on the throat of CJ TINO. Got to be careful that he's going to self-disqualified. Perhaps softening TINO up. And that STF, that grappling hook, as he calls it.
Listen, the grappling hook has put away so many opponents. So does a hard right. Everyone's going to play until you get punched in the face.
Yeah, no fancy, funky name for that. That is a punch to the mush.
Meanwhile, Tommy Wilson starts, but look at this. Pulls the tights. Nearly had a moment we can't put on YouTube.com. Oh!
Grabs YouTube red. But CJ TINO, worse for the wear here against Tommy Wilson.
All the same, Tommy Wilson maintaining control. And that's exactly what you have to do with an opponent like CJ TINO. I might not like his methods, I might not like what he's saying, but I can't argue with the results.
It is crazy that you said YouTube.com. I know we're a few moments removed. I just have the YouTube.com is crazy. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, you say YouTube. Nevertheless, Tommy Wilson really working over in full control of CJ TINO.
Listen, I'll get on you on X.com and have some comments later.
Whoa!
Up and over. Oh! Right into the boots of CJ TINO. This could be turning around. Look at this.
CJ TINO from the top. This man can fly. Look at the height there. All over Tommy Wilson and then some, Barry.
Look at this. Sleeper. Look for that sleeper that's coming in!
We mentioned softening up that neck for the grappling hook. The sleeper as capable a choice as any. CJ TINO fading and fading fast.
Absolutely, expending all that energy to avoid Tommy Wilson, just to fight back out of the clutches of Tommy Wilson. And now that reach, that strength, that flexibility, all coming bearing down on the windpipe of CJ TINO.
There's a certain point in a matchup where the spirit, the will to fight cannot go on any longer. We know CJ TINO wants to continue, but can CJ TINO continue?
Look at this! Oh, back suplex!
He answered that question. Indeed he can. For how long?
Well, CJ TINO folding Tommy Wilson like an accordion, but he has to get that wind back. He has to endure the punishment that has been doled out to him by Tommy Wilson right now.
He has to get the wind back, metaphorically speaking, but also literally speaking, back into his lungs, just to get that breath flow back to where it needs to be, to muscle someone like a Tommy Wilson up.
Making the most of those punches. Oh!
Such furious jabs from CJ TINO, such precision, such force here.
Look at this. Reeling back, just throwing bombs at one another. Oh, Enziguri right in the money.
Step up style there from CJ TINO, and he's feeling it now.
And we've seen this time and time again. That long wind coming back in, throwing all 5'6" of a foot, all 551 deadlift, and those big drop kicks.
Shades of the American Dragon here.
Look at the strength, look at the flexibility.
Perfect plex could mean a perfect victory. No.
Hooked that one leg on the fisherman, but did not hook both. Could have made a huge difference there on that capture hold. All the same, whip off the ropes, reversed. Springboard, cross body. This could be it.
He's gonna do it. No.
Inches, millimeters from three. This match continues here at NAVIDAD NIGHTMARE.
Barry Sweeney almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and CJ TINO knows it. He's thinking deadlift, German suplex. He wants to put Tommy Wilson away.
We have seen so many times that, oh!
The reverse unprettier from Tommy Wilson.
Devastating maneuver. This could be it, but look at this.
Kick out with authority from CJ TINO.
And Jordan, we talked about low leverage. This cover, the desperation that Tommy Wilson is just experiencing now is a huge factor. He only got on those shoulders, didn't get on those legs.
It's a low center of gravity for CJ TINO here.
Look at this, trying to wrench, trying to hold on, closing the distance, trying to keep away. And look at this, could be German time already.
Waist lock here. Get one shot to the face. Rattling CJ TINO.
Tommy Wilson is bearing down his weight on CJ TINO's back. Once again, go over the springboard. Oh!
Well, one too many times.
But CJ TINO, I don't know if he's firing all cylinders right now, but he certainly had the ring awareness to roll out of that ring, whether or not he's awake.
It's a very dangerous place to be. Me and Remy Morgan mentioned it earlier, my friend. There is padding, but it's a very thin layer of padding. And right now, from my vantage point, they're in the hard cement floor. Tommy Wilson knows this, rolling TINO back in the ring, the only place he can win it. But
nearly three, and you talked about that padding. Listen, that's more of a courtesy than anything, Jordan. You know that better than most. Once it spills out to that outside area, once it spills out to the floor, it's anybody's game. More devastating the better, and Tommy Wilson is no stranger to doing whatever it takes to get a victory.
Tommy Wilson is angry. Look at the fire in the eyes. He wants to finish this, and he wants to finish this one now.
Power bomb, fighting through. Look for that sunset flip.
And Tommy Wilson rolls through. Shoulders do not stay down.
Look at this. Oh, figure four, middle of the ring, and nowhere to go for CJ.
And rolling through into the grappling hook.
And talk about hook, fish hooking the nostrils, the eyes of CJ TINO, right over the mouth, just cutting off that airway.
I mean, CJ TINO has nowhere to go. He is a man twice his size, muscling him down. The rope is at least a foot away. TINO's got no choice here.
And excruciating pain, and look at Tommy Wilson grabbing the hair, just trying to control as best he can, hooking the arm now.
I mean, if you're CJ TINO, you're gonna let Tommy Wilson break your arm here, you're gonna let him fight another day. What's your choice?
Absolutely in the nick of time, CJ TINO escapes the clutches of Tommy Wilson.
Perhaps was it too little too late? Yes, the match continues, Barry. What's the damage already done?
Listen, CJ is not nearly as fiery, not nearly as plucky, coming back up to his feet, clutching that arm, just trying to get his breath back, but look at Tommy Wilson up on the top rope. Oh, enziguri!
Tommy Wilson is staggered, but he is not down. He need more than that. Fall to the big man.
Look at this, what's he got planned here? Desperate times call for desperate measures. This could be dangerous.
Both these men fighting for it. This could be devastating to CJ TINO. A suplex to the outside, to the concrete, to the cactuses.
Absolutely. Oh, superplex back in the ring, sparing the cacti and sparing CJ TINO a moment.
Drapes the arm over. That kick out from Wilson. TINO unable to hook the leg. Certainly cost him.
Absolutely, but let's not forget that superplex was a signature maneuver of Mike Camden. This has got to be flashes back from the past for both these men.
And Mr. 551 calling for it.
Making it look easy. Oh,
but perhaps it ain't.
Victory roll, this could be it. No, but he's not done yet. Deadlift. Picture perfect!
Well, Barry, sweetie, in the immortal words of Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. Huge win for CJ TINO.
Absolutely. And so good to see the story of CJ TINO continues, the legacy that he upholds still in his hands.
Take nothing away from Tommy Wilson. Excellent effort tonight. But it was TINO fighting through the deadly German and the 3 count.